Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, text 43 onwards. So last time we discussed and Krishna said what happens to the yogis who leave the body and they haven't attained perfection, but leave the body after short advancement or long practice or short practice. So what happens to both of them? So further he is saying, Tatra tam buddhi samyogam labdhe parva dehikam yatate cha tato bhuya samsiddho kuru nandana. On taking such a birth, so such a birth means, last he said, he takes a birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly such a birth is rare in this world. So that happens after long practice. So on taking such a birth, he revives the divine consciousness of his previous life. And he again tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success. O son of Kuru. So this is the advantage, major advantage. I mean, we can live our life just trying to eat, drink, and be merry, like 99% of population is doing, and no idea about self-realization, no working on it, nothing. Or live life dedicated to yoga. Now, how much dedication depends. We make a balance between material and spiritual lives, or we completely dedicate our life to spirituality. So there is no loss in this. That's the point in spiritual life. And in somebody is completely living materially, what gain is going to be there? If not before, at the time of death, Mrityu Sarvarasham, he says, Krishna says, I take away everything. Everything what? Everything material. Whatever we have built, accumulated, it all will be gone. Even the body will be gone. So it's a loss. It's a losing proposition. Why work so hard for it that we know we're going to lose? Yes, to live comfortably, we have to work. I'm not against that. I'm not saying do not do any work, but if somebody, like, I have seen people who run businesses, at least they spend, at least, if not more, 14, 16 hours a day in the business. To run the business, then there are competitors who are always envious, then they try to pull you down. You have to defend ourselves if we are not pulling somebody else down. And then there are taxes, governments, thieves, all sorts of people are there. So we have to protect our business from. And then we have to grow because the competitors are there. For what? Something that we're going to make, that we're going to lose. Of course, we say, I'm doing it so I can live opulently. Okay, great. But then it's, in the long run, what did we gain? Some say we are making it so our future generations can live comfortably. Are we sure? That there is a doha, right? Poot saput to kyo dhan sanchay, and poot kaput to kyo dhan sanchay. If he is saput, if he's a good boy, he'll make his own living. He'll make it up. And if he's not good, then he's going to ruin everything anyway. Yes, whatever is required according to our needs, and everybody's need is different. make money, no doubt, no problem in that. But not forgetting our real goal, which is a spiritual goal. So if somebody can make a balance, that is the best thing. Or better than that is obviously one leaves everything and dedicates his life to spirituality. So he doesn't have to come back again and struggle again in the material world. Because material world, it's a um, it's a package: birth, old age, disease, then death. And while going through from birth to death, adhidevik, adhibautik, adhyatmik klesh. That is going to be there with every person, whether one is very rich or whether one is ultra poor. It's there with everybody. And Krishna himself says, later on we'll read, it's dukkhalayam. It's a place of misery. This is how he has designed it. And a designer knows what's in the product. The end user might not know, because once he finds out, then he figures out. But designer knows what he has put in the product. And we give so much stress on it, with so much importance to our material life, which we cannot be happy in. Probably this is the reason we give so much of importance, that if we understand we're not going to be happy, then we'll not worry about it. But the Maya, then now this is where Maya comes in. Maya makes us think I can be happy. Okay, I suffered here, some loss here, or some problems happened here. If I somehow manage or try to work it out, I can be happy if I do this, if I get this. And then we get there. Either we get fully or we get partially that success. No. If I do this, I'll be happy. If I'm successful materially, we think I will be happy. Everybody is working for happiness only. It's not that if I keep on accumulating money and if it doesn't give me happiness, then I'll not work. So everybody is working for happiness. But it's very eluding subject. It doesn't come. And when we are working so hard, meanwhile, so many diseases will come. Meanwhile, other people will give me trouble. Adhibautik klesh, and then adhidevik, which nobody has any control over. Corona time, we saw that. How many people died? Rich people, they just died. And what happened to our businesses or other things? And then on top of it, adhyatmik klesh, my mind is going to give me problem. Stress, frustration, depression, so many things. And somebody who is intelligent enough, why I have to go through all this? Why? When there is a process, Krishna himself has given how to get out of it. So yes, work little hard, because it's not easy to fix up our mind spiritually. It takes time, it takes practice. Again and again, every day we have to practice. But then, is it easy to live in the material world? No. Is it, we think it's going to be easier when I die and take up next life in this material world? Definitely not. So what are we rooting for? So why not make progress in the yogic process? And Krishna himself says, see, he'll be born in either rich aristocratic family, or if he has left body after long advancement or long practice, Then he takes birth in the family of transcendentalists, where he starts all over again. Not all over, starts again from wherever he has left in the previous life. So there is a chance that he goes back to the spiritual world in this life. So Prabhupada says in Bhagavad, King Bharat, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahmin, is an example of good birth for the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharat was the emperor of the world. And since his time, this planet has been known among the demigods as Bharat Varsha. Formerly, it was known as Ilavrit Varsha. So, King Bharat, from Bharat Maharaj came this word, Bharat Varsha, not from younger brother of Lord Ram. Some people say it comes from Lord Ram's brother, Bharat, but no, it comes from King Bharat. King Bharat, who was the emperor of the world. The emperor at an early age retired for spiritual perfection, but failed to achieve success. So this is Varnashram Dharma. So he was the emperor of the whole world, not just CEO or MD of a little company. Whole world. How rich and how powerful he must be. But the Varnashram Dharma says, so after a certain age, you have to leave everything, renounce, and go to the forest, do your yoga, and prepare for the next life. That's a right way of living. Now, we read every day some 90-year-old man, he's marrying a 20-some-year-old girl because he's rich. And even at 90 years, 80 years, people cannot give up this idea of sense gratification. But the idea, according to Varnashram Dharma, is renounce everything and prepare for next life now. And before that, there is Vanprasthashram. That is a preparation for renunciation. So Vanprasth means leave the house, go to the holy places of pilgrimage, start developing renunciation, detachment, and start surrendering. So when we do that, slowly, we start renouncing and getting attached to the Lord in whatever yoga system we follow. Of course, Bhakti yoga is completely different. But even the other yoga, I've seen people going to Haridwar, Rishikesh, completely leaving everything behind. Kids, you have grown up, you just take care of your affairs. Now we have to start preparing for next life. Some faith say there is no next life, but that is not true. We know there is next life. Because in this life, if we are suffering for not doing anything knowingly in this life, so that karma must be coming from some previous lives. So similarly, previous life is there, the next life will be there. So this we have to prepare. And this Bharat Maharaj, he left everything, left the kingdom, and just went to the forest to do his meditation. And what happened, now this was arrangement by Providence to test his progress. So while meditating, he saw a female deer coming by nearby, and a hunter attacked her. And while jumping over the river to either the hunter attacked or a lion attacked, I'm forgetting. Jumping over the river, she was pregnant and she gave birth to a little beautiful, very innocent, very charming, cute doe. And she died. And Bharat Maharaj, he brought that doe to his ashram. And now little babies, whether it is human baby or deer baby, they're very cute. Obviously, they're cute. innocent, very good. So his time went on in taking care of that doe. Even while he was meditating on the Supreme Lord, he was also thinking, or he was only thinking of the doe. If that doe is okay, if he has eaten something or not, if some tiger has come to eat him. And while thinking like that, one day he left his body. Now, he had done plenty of meditation on the Supreme Lord. But, as Krishna says, at the time of death, wherever our consciousness is, we take birth according to that. So he was thinking of that doe. So he got the birth as a deer, next line. But because he had made such a great progress in meditation, in yoga, he did not forget the mistake he made in the previous life. So even though he was in the body of a deer, he would go to the ashram of sages. He would not roam around with other animals or other deers. So again, now when he left his body, because even as a deer, soul is still the same, whatever the body is. So his consciousness had improved. So he got the birth as a human being in the house of a Brahmin, as his name was Jad Bharat. So Jad means who's like a fool, who's a rascal, who doesn't know much. But this was his pretense. He didn't want to get involved with anything material. So he was always engaged in his spiritual activities. His father tried to teach him business. He was a younger brother, or younger of, I think, 3 brothers. So his father tried to teach him business. He could not do it, or he didn't do it. Even as a Brahmin, he was supposed to do Gayatri and take bath 3 times and whatever. He would always make mistakes. So even his father gave up. What kind of boy is this? He doesn't understand anything. And when his father died, his brothers took over his property, his share of property, and they basically kicked him out. And he was very happy. No more entanglements. And those who think he was just a crazy, foolish guy, and actually not, because he gave wonderful instructions to Maharaj Rahugana. And it's mentioned in Bhagavatam, the instructions he gave. So he was a self-realized soul. But why? Because as Bharat Maharaj, he has practiced this yoga for a long time, very long time. And as Jad Bharat, this was his last life. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahmin and was known as Jad Bharat, because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later on, he was discovered as the greatest transcendentalist by King Rahugana. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. Never go in vain. And any material endeavors, there is no endurance in that. It just lasts for a while. That's it. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. Repeated opportunities. There is no such thing as eternal hell or eternal heaven. Some faiths say, oh, judgment day, you go to hell and that's it, you rot there forever. No. Just like in our household, if I commit some mistake, my father will chastise me, my father can punish me, father can beat me up. But how long? Ultimately, he's my father, so he'll have compassion towards me. Okay, come back. So there is no such thing eternal hell, because Krishna, God, is our father. He's not going to rot us in the hell forever. Not going to happen like that. So he gives a chance again. And here the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities, because one who has taken up this path of yoga, and we talk about bhakti yoga, but one who has taken up this path, then Krishna knows this soul wants to come back. Whether that desire is strong or not so strong, then he tries to make sure we make that desire strong. He tries to make sure that desire transforms into greed to get him, greed to go back to the spiritual world. He doesn't interfere in our karma, but at the same time, he wants to help us. So he helps. Now, whether we take up the process, when do we take up the process? That's up to us. Take up the process again. That's up to us. But he will keep on trying. Just like in Prabhupada, when he was here, so he was once in San Francisco temple. So he was there, and that was hippie time actually. So one hippie used to come regularly. He would come, he would take darshan, attend the class, listen to Prabhupada, and sometimes he would sit near Prabhupada. Prabhupada would be doing his activities. He would sit near Prabhupada, and then he would go back to wherever he came from. And he did not take up chanting, but he would really like to come. So Prabhupada or devotees also used to ask him, take up chanting, do something. He would not. And one day he bowed down to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada asked him, why don't you take up chanting? Make your life successful. He still won't. And Prabhupada said, and this is an amazing statement, for the last 700 lifetimes, I'm trying to change you, but you're so stubborn, you don't want to change. 700 lifetimes. How would Prabhupada know? Well, he would know. But the point is, he didn't give up on Prabhupada. Whatever progress he had made all these years, all these lifetimes, it was still there. And Prabhupada didn't give up on him either. He did not kick him out. No, don't come here, get out of the temple. No. So this is the effect of making progress. So, of course, the best will be if we attain perfection and go back to the spiritual world. Sometimes we get all these arguments or excuses. Oh, who has seen the spiritual world? Well, those who have seen it, they have described it in the scriptures. Those who have seen Krishna, they have described. Those who have seen Radharani, they have described it. Now, it's a matter of faith. Just like I don't think any of us has met American President Joe Biden. Personally, we haven't met him. So how do we believe the person they show on TV is Joe Biden? Or he's a president of America? How do we know? So cameraman is focusing on Joe Biden, and the commentators are saying, President Joe Biden is doing this or saying this. We just believe it, right? Yes, he must be the president. It's mentioned in the books, but books are all written by conditioned souls. But we believe it. It's mentioned in newspapers, they're all written by conditioned souls. So why can't we believe the scriptures, which are written by self-realized sages, souls? No, we call it mythology. So it's a matter of faith. What do we want to believe in? Yes, believe in the local news reporters or cameramen. Yes, and he's Joe Biden, so he's Joe Biden, fine. But if he's Krishna, Radharani, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and if we believe it, if we follow their instructions, we'll attain spiritual world. Why not have that faith also? So the process, as explained by Rupa Goswami in Nectar of Devotion, is we have little faith or curiosity, and then we come in contact with sadhu, devotees. Shraddha, then sadhu sangha, and then we take up bhajan kriya. And then slowly it removes our anarthas. We develop nishtha, firm faith, fixed faith, then asakti, then ruchi, then bhav and prem. Or ruchi, asakti, bhav and prem. So this is the process. It's valid for any material endeavor also. How did we know if I do engineering, I'll get a good job and I'll make a comfortable living? Or how do we know when if I start this business, I'll make money and I'll comfortable living? Nobody knows in the beginning, but we just have some faith, and then we meet the right people and we take up the process. And then slowly we work on it. So similarly, yoga practice. So this is the words of Supreme Lord Himself, and definitely they are true. and if we follow it properly, that is called surrender. Then we can achieve the perfection also. So text 44. Purvabhyasena teneva hriyate hyavasho api saha jigyasurapi yogasya shabda brahmati vartate. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scriptures. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist, because he automatically, naturally becomes attracted. And then, like in Bhakti Yoga, then devotees help him slowly to make further progress. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the rituals of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principles, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. So automatically they become it. So ritualistic principles or the rituals of the scriptures, that is more like karma kand. You do this puja, do this tapa, do this yajna, you'll get this. That karma kanda, of course, it's at least one follows the scriptures rather than not following at all. At least he follows. So that is good, but it's not the best. And that's the proper, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, such disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalists is explained as follows. So disregard. They don't want to follow Vedic rituals, but they do just to set up a proper example in the society. But internally, they have nothing to do because it is mentioned in Bhagavatam, Aho Batashva Pacho Ato Gariyan, Yad Jivagare Vartate Nam Tubhyam. Tepu Tapaste to Juvus Sasnurarya, Brahmanuchur Nam Grinanti Yete. O my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are far, far advanced in spiritual life, even if born in the family of dog eaters. Shupacho, dog eaters. Such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, bathed in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. So the persons who chant the holy names means in the previous life they've done all of this. Of course, that doesn't mean we don't go and bathe in the sacred places or try to study scriptures. We are studying Bhagavad Gita. But the point is, chanting is way beyond any of these activities. And here, in the shloka, it says, Yad jiva agre vartate nam tubhyam. Jiva agre, at the tip of the tongue. Just like we say, it's a lip service. Means even if he's not chanting from the core of his heart, with all the devotion, emotions, everything, it's only at the tip of his tongue. Means he has done everything that is required materially or ritualistically. So slowly, 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 he will take up the real chanting from the core of one's heart, chanting with love and devotion. And then he'll definitely attain Krishna Prema. So this is how important chanting is. The famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Thakur Haridas as one of his most important disciples. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. So 300,000, 192 rounds. We only try to chant 16 rounds. So you are chanting 12 times more rounds every day. So taken up 300,000, chanting of 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life, he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas, known as Shabda Brahma. So ritualistic methods. Because Vedas, they try to elevate everybody, gradually elevate everybody. So, and since most of the population, or human population, because they are the only ones who can follow, they are into karma kanda. They want to enjoy materially. So Vedas say, okay, do this, you'll get this, do this, yagya, tapa, dan, and you can go to heavenly planets also, and heavenly planets are very nicely described in the Vedas. Why? So at least they start following Vedas. So 96% of Vedas deal with karma kanda. Then probably 3.9% deal with jnana kanda. So start developing affinity for knowledge. You've done plenty of karma kanda. It's not worth it actually. But start developing knowledge. And very little, 0.1%, deals with upasana kanda or bhakti. Because not many people are interested in this. So Vedas means that gradually they want to make people progress. And Krishna himself says in second chapter, second chapter, yeah. Vedas mainly deal with three modes of material nature. So give up all this. Get to bhakti. That's the basic idea. And in 15th chapter, Krishna himself says, Vedashta sarveraham ek vedyo. Means by all the Vedas. And first he says, I am the compiler of the Vedas, Vedanta Sutra, and by all the Vedas, I am to be known. Vedanta krit ved vidachaham achaham. So if by all the Vedas, Krishna is to be known, that is the final judgment. So why not start with that? But one cannot just jump to that. So previous lifetimes one must have done plenty of other activities. So finally one comes to the level of surrendering to Krishna, knowing Krishna, and knowing Krishna means serving Krishna. And serving Krishna slowly develops into serving him with love. It takes time. Slowly one makes progress. So unless one is purified, one cannot take to the principles of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna. So unless one is purified of all these desires of karma kanda, ritualistic activities. So once then slowly he takes up this devotional service or any yoga actually, but ultimate yoga is bhakti yoga. He himself, Krishna says in end of 6th chapter. So takes time, takes lifetimes, many lifetimes. But one who has finally come to this stage, one should take it up seriously, devotedly, so that we try to make this as our last life here. We don't want to take birth here again. Next verse, Krishna says, Prayatnadyat manastu yogi samshuddhi kilbisha anek janma samsiddhas tato yati param gatim. And when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately achieving perfection after many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. Anek janma samsiddhas. After many births. A person born in a particularly righteous, aristocratic, or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contaminations. When he is finally free from all contaminations, he attains a supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. So all contamination. So what is a contamination? Contamination is to basically the desire to enjoy materially. Whatever material desires we have in our heart, they're contaminations. Because pure heart means the soul which lives in the heart. When it is purified of all this material consciousness, then he comes to his real level, real constitutional level of serving Krishna. Then he attains, as Prabhupada said, the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is a perfect stage of being freed of all contaminations. Even yogic process, whether Hatha Yoga or Jnana Yoga, it's not called perfectly clean of all contaminations. Because Hatha Yoga, once a yogi makes progress, then he gets some of these siddhis, either 1, 2, or all 8 siddhis. then he gets enamored by those siddhis. And then he gets enamored, and his followers also make him think that he is the greatest and he is God, he can do whatever he wants. But these are all material siddhis. And the Jnana Yogi, then he understands this material world is a place of miseries. So what he tries to get is, he doesn't want to suffer, he doesn't want all this misery. So he wants to get into Brahmajyoti, Nirakar. And then, so this is also a material desires in a sense. I don't want any material miseries. I want to merge, I want moksha, nirvana. Devotee, on the other hand, he says, as Mahaprabhu said in the Shikshashtakam, whether you give me birth after birth, I don't even want moksha. I just want your service. I just want your bhavtad bhakti rahe to kitvai. I just want your bhakti. That's all. So he doesn't want nirvana. He doesn't want any siddhis. He doesn't want na dhanam, na janam, na kavitam, na saundrim, kamay. He doesn't want anything. He doesn't want dhan. He doesn't want many followers. He doesn't want any beautiful spouse. All he wants is sir bhakti. So that is why a devotee is considered the topmost. So this is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Yesham tvantakatam papam jananam punya karmanam. In 7th chapter. After many, many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely freed from all contaminations and from all illusory dualities, one becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Bhajante mam dridhavrata. Engaged fully, dridha, with determination. So that is why Bhakti Yoga is the topmost, most sublime, most powerful. So that's what we have to take it up seriously. Okay, I guess I can stop here, see anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I just want to know something. This Jad Bharat we studied in Bhagavad. He was the one who started Jain Dharma. No, that
No.
was Rishabh.
They say it was Rishabh Dev, but actually no. They say they're followers of Lord Rishabh Dev, Jainis, but they don't really follow what he said.
So Jad Bharat and Rishabh Dev were the same?
No. Rishabh Dev is father of Jad Bharat. Rishabh Dev is father of Bharat Maharaj. Not Jad Bharat, Bharat Maharaj, the original Bharat. So Rishabh Dev was a father, and Bharat Maharaj was the youngest boy, but they all put him on the throne because he was the most qualified. So Rishabh Dev also left his kingdom and for yoga, and he, of course, Lord Rishabh Dev is a incarnation, empowered incarnation of the Lord. So he used to roam around naked, actually. And that is why these Jainis say we are followers of Rishabh Dev. But no, Prabhupada mentioned in Bhagavatam, because Rishabh Dev, he never said meditate on Nirakar. And these Jainis, they said there is no Akar of the Lord, they're all Nirakaris. So they're not really following Rishabh Dev. And moreover, Lord Rishabh Dev appeared, I don't know which yuga. And this Jain Dharma just got started. So what about the gap? Such a long gap. So Mahavir Jain started it, and I never read in detail about how it got started and what are his teachings. But this for sure, he doesn't believe in Sakar form. They all believe in Nirakar. And that was not the teachings of Rishabdev. Is that okay?
Thank you, Babaji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna,
Okay.
Prabhuji.
I was just getting confused with Jad Bharat and Rishabh.
Jainis say that, but it's not true. Because he used to roam around naked, because he was not at all connected with the body. They think this is Digambar Jain. Not really. Yes, Rakesh Prabhu, you were saying something.
Yeah, I have a comment. वो जो आपने शुरू में जब बतला रहे थे आप, like a businessman who works hard and there's a lack of bhakti, or he's too busy with his work. I mean, something on those lines I experienced when I was in Kuwait. जब कुवैत में गए हम लोग तो suddenly we saw everybody is getting into puja part, not really in the true sense bhakti yoga, but they started doing all the, to begin with, as we say, get into the rituals, karam kand. So I used to wonder कि यहाँ आने के बाद क्या होता है, why do things change when we come here? And I used to closely watch people, and then and then I compared myself back in India. Like India में तो हमने पूजा पाठ सब भक्ति भाव parents के ऊपर छोड़ा हुआ था. They were doing it and we were busy with our own lives. So what I kind of saw and observed and realized was कि in India, when you are working hard, you kind of justify कि ये जी मेरा कर्म योग है and it is, equivalent to any other thing, और मैंने काम कर दिया, ये मेरी पूजा है. Although truly speaking, there, as you say so many times, प्रभुपाद का जो मैसेज है कि there is lack of devotion. हम तो करते हैं, मेहनत करते हैं, इंडिया में सब कुछ करते हैं, but there's lack of devotion. So I think it does not truly qualify as a karam yoga. It's like you're doing work for materialistic gain. Now when you go to Kuwait में अचानक हम लोग इसमें आ जाते हैं. And then there are different kind of people we see in Kuwait or in the Middle East, for example. One category which does not realize that उधर जो पैसा बन रहा है, it is by way of exchange rate. कि एक दिनार में जहाँ, making 100 rupees and suddenly they think, oh, ऐसी मतलब मजा आ गया, life is so good now. Yeah, partially there is a gain in salary, but not in a true sense. It's just, the money multiplies. तो वो एक insecurity create कर देता है. Because a lot of people reach there not by way of intelligence or their, क्या बोलना चाहिए अपनी in the true sense अपनी जो आपकी जो लियाकत है जिसको बोलते हैं उससे नहीं पहुंचते हैं. They have some connections, they reach there, they start making money, and inside they know that it's by sheer luck that they are there, or maybe some past good karma. Instead of realizing it in a bhakti way to really, now start devoting all your goodness, riches to Lord, it becomes insecure. They just become superstitious. कि यार बस पूजा कर दी है कि ये हाथ से ना निकल ना जाए. इसको बस करते रहो.
वो होता डर की वजह से ही है.
डर की वजह से होता है.
Yeah, but it takes time. It takes long time to come into yoga practice, especially bhakti yoga. Long time.
True. So I mean, these are my few thoughts, which I kind of observed over time.
Which is true. Which is true. Same. Why Kuwait? Why not America? Same thing. Dollar becomes 82 rupees. And yeah, we become very rich. No, here the expenses are also in dollars.
Yeah.
Although we make it in dollars, we are spending in dollars also.
True.
But this is what Maya is.
Yeah. So
this is what Maya is. Well, the point is, yes, we have to get serious about her.
Yeah.
Life.
And that is the reason why when all these people who believed कि कर्म योग कर लिया हमने, मेहनत कर ली बिजनेस में या नौकरी में और यही काफी है, पूजा की जरूरत नहीं है. when bad times fall, that's when they question कि यार क्या हुआ, क्या हमने तो बहुत मेहनत की, ये किया वो किया, but I think somewhere the devotion, I mean their direction wasn't right, so that's why
Yeah.
you know, so
फिर वो लिंक नहीं जुड़ता भैया। फिर समझ
yeah,
नहीं आता कि हुआ क्या, कहाँ गेम खराब हो गई।
Yeah.
yeah,
हाँ,
नहीं वो लिंक
नहीं
जुड़
समझ
जाता है,
आता है।
वो लिंक
हाँ,
जुड़
बाद
जाता है
में,
जब वो
बाद
फाइनली
में।
वो 10 बजे जब ज्वाइन करते हैं ना वो ग्रुप गीता वाला, then they realize where things were going wrong.
हाँ, फिर प्रभु जी बता रहे होते हैं ना उसमें, तो पता चल जाता है कि यहाँ गड़बड़ हो गई है।
We all have been through this and going through this
I
also,
know.
not have been.
Yeah,
We're
प्रभु
going
जी,
through this.
yeah.
We all are in the same boat.
Yeah,
But these classes are quite enlightening. इसमें कोई doubt नहीं है प्रभु जी।
Well, we're just helping, trying to help each other. That's all. ठीक है, चलो, you all
Thank you
safe
प्रभु
and
जी।
wonderful.
thank you.
Hare Krishna. Jai
Hare
Shri
Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, जय श्री प्रभुपाद।